Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving deep into a billion-dollar puzzle that has stumped marketers for, well, over a century. We're going to give you a completely new way to see the world of advertising. So if that sounds interesting, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's jump right into the heart of the problem. You've probably heard this quote before, right? It perfectly nails the massive, expensive question mark at the center of advertising. But one man, Rosser Reeves, he made it his life's mission to find the answer. And he spent his clients' fortunes turning advertising from a total gamble into a science. And that's the price tag. $1 billion. That's what it cost in client spending, in trial and error over decades of research. That's the cost of figuring out the principles that separate ads that actually work from the ones that are just, expensive wallpaper. Let's start with the biggest myth they busted.
All right, so the very first and biggest trap in advertising, one that even smart execs fall into all the time, is thinking you can judge a campaign just by looking at sales. I mean, the logic seems simple enough. Sales go up, the ad's a winner. Sales go down, the ad's a dud. But as Reeves found out, it's almost never that simple.
The thing is, sales can jump up or crash down for dozens of reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with your advertising. The source material gives this perfect, painful example. A totally brilliant ad campaign for razor blades got completely wrecked because a bad batch of blades hit the shelves. Sales tanked, but it wasn't the ad's fault. Your competitor could drop a new product, or your trucks might not deliver on time. So, if sales can lie to you, what tells the truth?
And this is the question that really set Rosser Reeves on his path. He had to find a way to isolate the ad's effect from all that other noise in the market. And his solution? It was this simple but absolutely brilliant thought experiment that basically changed the game forever. So Reeves came up with a whole new way of thinking, a method to measure two key things that show an ad's real impact: penetration and usage pull. Now, to get what these mean, we need to visit his famous two rooms.
Okay, just picture this. In one room, you get everybody together who has zero memory of your current ad campaign. They've either never seen it or it just didn't stick. Then, in a second room, you put everyone who does remember your ad. The big breakthrough happens when you walk into each room and ask one simple question. Hey, do you buy my product?
And this is what Reeves found again and again and again. In the room with people who don't remember your ad, maybe 5 out of 100 buy your product. For some other reason. Maybe your friend told them to, or it's just an old habit. But in the room of people who do remember your ad, that number shoots up to 25 out of 100. This comparison brilliantly shows you the raw power of the ad itself.
That difference, that 20% gap, is what Reeves called the usage pull. It's the real measure of how persuasive your ad is. It's the percentage of people who were literally pulled into buying your product just because of your advertising. This number tells you if your message is actually convincing people. That's secret number one. Secret number two is penetration. And this is pretty simple. It's just the percentage of people who are in that second room, the ones who can actually remember your ad. It measures your ad's reach and how memorable it is. Because think about it, an ad can be the most persuasive message on earth, but if nobody remembers seeing it, its usage pool is zero. You absolutely need both.
Okay, so now that we have these two new tools, Reeves turned to another incredibly expensive myth that is still alive and well today. This idea that an ad campaign can get worn out, that the public just gets sick of it and you have to keep changing your message.
Reeves used this fantastic analogy. He said to think of the public's memory like a leaky bucket. Every single day, people are forgetting your ad. New customers are entering the market. You have to keep spending money just to keep the water level, your penetration, in the same place. You are literally running as fast as you can just to stand still. And this is his knockout punch. So often, marketers and the creative folks at agencies, they get tired of their own ads and just assume everyone else is too. But the data shows the exact opposite. At any given moment, the huge majority of people have no memory of your campaign. So how can they possibly be tired of something they don't even remember? Changing a winning campaign, Reeves called that the $1 million mistake. And the proof, it's right there in advertising history. These are just a few examples of legendary brands that were built on the back of one single, consistent ad campaign, run for decades. They didn't flip-flop, they hammered one message home year after year, building this almost unbreakable level of penetration. So, if you're going to be consistent, you need a message that's actually worth repeating, and that brings us to the tool that makes it all work. So let's connect the dots. You can't trust sales. You need to measure penetration and usage pull.
And to get good numbers there, you have to be consistent. Well, that led to Reeves' most famous invention, the formula for an ad that is both memorable and persuasive. He called it the unique selling proposition, or the USP.
Now that's a term that gets thrown around a lot today, right? People use it to mean any old slogan. But for Reeves, it was a very strict, very disciplined formula. It had 3 ironclad rules you could not break. Okay, rule number 1. It has to be a real proposition. It must offer a clear, specific benefit. Not just nice-sounding words, but a concrete promise. Rule number 2, that promise has to be unique. It's got to be something your competitors either can't say or just aren't saying. And rule number 3, it has to sell. The promise has to be so powerful that it can actually pull millions of new customers over to your brand. It has to have a high usage pull.
And here is the perfect classic example for Listerine. Halitosis was this obscure medical term for bad breath. The ad made a very specific promise. Use our product, get rid of this problem. At the time, no other mouthwash was making that claim, so it was totally unique. And the desire to not have bad breath, that was more than powerful enough to build an empire that's still around today. That right there is a USP in action.
So, after this whole journey through $1 billion of research, what we have is a brand new way to look at advertising. Not as art, not as entertainment, but as a disciplined tool for persuasion.
So here's the new reality, the new playbook. Forget sales figures. Measure what actually matters. Penetration and usage pull. When you find a message that works, stick with it. Don't make that $1 million mistake, and make sure that message is a true USP, a single, powerful, unique promise that is strong enough to actually sell. And that's the question I really want to leave you with. As you go about your day today, just look at the ads you see on TV, online, wherever. How many are just kind of clever or funny, but with no real promise? And how many are laser-focused on one powerful, unique selling idea? I think you're going to be surprised at how few are actually following the rules. Thanks so much for tuning in. If this explainer gave you a new lens to see the world through, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe for more deep dives that cut through all the noise. We'll see you in the next one.